Welcome back to that Heartbreak Hogs podcast. Sid, today we're going to talk about Sam Pittman. This is not to be a negative podcast, so before anybody jumps in here and starts yelling about, oh, you guys are negative, you guys want Sam to fail. No, we do not want Sam to fail. We do not want this team to fail. We want them to win. But we need to talk about what happens if they don't? Because the expectation here should be winning. We should not be settling for mediocrity. I'm not saying that there will be mediocrity or that that's what will happen. I'm just saying that there are some red flags from this season that we have seen so far that could lead to bad things happening. And what scenarios, you know, could happen this season and what should be done about it. So, Sid, the first thing I have on here is consistency. I do not feel, after watching the LSU game, that the Pittman coaching staff has improved on consistency this year compared to the rest of his years prior to this season. I've always felt that after a big game, we have a letdown somewhere, whether it's against A&M or it's against Alabama when it looked like that we had chances to beat Alabama in the past. Um, there just were times where the team would play a really good game and then they would do a complete no-show or play poor at home. What are your thoughts on the consistency? Do you think I'm being a little hard on him just off of one game? I mean, I could also throw the Oklahoma State game in there, in the UAB game. Um, what are your thoughts on consistency? Has he improved on his consistency? What do you think is going on this season, just compared to prior years, and this needing to be a better year, a
Yeah, I
progress
mean,
year?
I before I start, I want to just preface it saying, like this week in, week out, I think we both struggle with it as well, and like we say, like when we win, like against Tennessee or something like a big school,
Mm-hmm.
we give more like props and project like kudos to T. Will and Bobby
Mm-hmm.
P. compared to Pittman, and then when we lose, it's majority falls on Pittman's shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we've both been like,
Hey, in the
um,
LSU take, in our other video on the LSU, I did put some blame on T. Will and Bobby. Just by the
right.
way,
But
definitely
we
check
do
out that
usually
video.
like we're doing this as Sam Pittman to
Right,
blame right here, and so we
right.
have to talk about that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And was this only on him? I don't think so. This especially this game, which exactly you talked about, we both talked about.
Mm-hmm.
This particular game against LSU was not only on him. I mean, defensively, we just didn't have the right preparation with our guys and on how to prepare for that quarterback Nussmeier. And offensively, we just were not confident. We're making silly mistakes where it wasn't even coaching from Pittman in terms of it was offensive play calls. Some of those where there were inconsistency at times. That's why I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting the whole staff in that situation. Obviously, there's plays where we had talked about if you're in that 4th and 2, 4th and 4
Right.
situation, what do you do? Do you kick the field goal? That's
And
that's
they
all
look to
on.
the head coach. Yeah.
That's exactly. You look to the head coach, and that's on him. But when you're getting blown out by that bad, it's always going to fall on the head coach, but I think it's a whole like the coaching staff and whole players and just lack of preparation. A lot more that goes into it, and I think after this game, it did hurt. Like obviously, it hurt Pittman's chances for like the season staying in the like for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we had talked about him going out on top or not. Like
Yeah.
this definitely hurt him. But
Yeah.
Again, I'm looking at it more and I'm thinking about it more holistically because of it was not a close game and it was not one or
That's
two
what I was gonna
mistakes.
say.
It
It
was
it's
a
not
lot
like
of
this was a
mistakes.
close loss or anything like that. It wasn't, a game that came down to the wire at the end and just, we got out athleted or anything like that. This was just out coached, straight up out
Mhm.
coached. I heard the staff the whole week saying that we need to stop, or Pittman saying that we're going to focus on stopping their run game.
Mhm.
Well, that did not happen. It didn't even look like that was the game plan at all. Um, anyway, yeah, I see what you're saying too about like and that kind of goes into another part of this is, you mentioning the inconsistencies in the offense and the defense, T. Will, Petrino, because Petrino's offense has really slowed down in SEC play. The red zone offense has not been very good. Getting to the red zone has been tough too, especially last game. Um, it's just, does that make keeping T. Will and Bobby Petrino, does that reduce how important that is to keep these guys? I know a lot of people are gonna say, because I'm gonna put this out there first before anybody else tries to say it. They're gonna say, well, Ross, it's better if a coach has 2 or 3 years to really put their system in place where they're at. This is true, except we have this thing called the transfer portal. Most of the players on your team are transfers, if not most, close to half. And there is no such thing right now, in my opinion, from what I'm starting to see. And it's not necessarily, this isn't necessarily like a black and white take. I'm sure that there's kind of a gray area in this, but from the most part, it looks like that the whole 2 to 3 year system is not going to work in college football anymore. You have to have a 1 year system. And if you can't do it in 1 year, you can't go into the transfer portal and get, a whole bunch of new transfers, because you're not going to have them for 2 or 3 years. There's no guarantee of that. So, Sid, I guess what I'm trying to ask you in this is, are the assistants in T. Will and Bobby still worth that praise of, let's keep Sam if he can keep these assistants? If maybe the college football game has changed where if you can't do it in 1 year, 2 or 3 is not going to be a big difference between year one. Or do you think I'm off on that?
No, I see what you're saying. I just think I'm trying to stay away from that short-term memory, right? Because I know we do these weekly videos, but
Right.
I'm still thinking about what we were thinking about after the Tennessee win, and
Mm-hmm.
what we were talking about with T. Will possibly being a head coach, or
Right.
if Pittman has done enough, or it will do enough. And after the LSU game, I don't want to just look at the LSU game, and kind of, because if we're talking about Pittman as a whole and his coaching staff as a whole, I don't want to just. I know we'll talk again. We'll be talking about this week after week, but don't want to just mention it based off of one game
Yeah.
and in that LSU game. Because if we are basing it off of just the LSU game, then no. I mean, like, no,
Mm.
T. Will hasn't done enough. Petrino hasn't done enough, and I don't think any of these guys are deservedly um, should be like in the coaching staff for if we're trying to be great.
Right.
But I'm not. I'm trying again not to think of it from one game
Just 1 week. Right.
and 1 week, and as a whole, I hope that they are able to kind of come out and turn it around. Now, if it's consistently that bad, and
Yeah.
that's when things start changing towards the worse, where I think every fan, a Razorback fan, can agree with this, where consistently being bad um, is where you have to draw the line. You have to be like, okay, enough is enough, and
Mm-hmm.
we need to look for a change.
Right.
Um, I don't think that has happened yet.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. I would
but
not say fire everybody now. That is not what I'm saying. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I want to
And
make that
so
clear.
yeah, before people start coming after
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. He wants them all gone right now. This is ridiculous. No, no,
Exactly.
no. I'm not. I'm not at that camp. I'm just kind of questioning based off of what we've seen
Yeah.
so far. You know, are they really worth? Is the juice worth the squeeze here? You know.
Right. And to your point, I mean, yes, the 2 year, 3 year thing I think is starting to get outdated for sure. But we're not even through year one yet fully. So
Yeah.
we can't judge it just yet on a full year.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, I think those conversations will start adding up again and kind of taking rolling down the hill a little bit more where, hey, is 2 year, 3 year enough, or was this 1 year that we had this year, was that enough? I mean,
Yeah.
compared to last year, we are still at the same record we had for the full last year, right? So well,
Mm-hmm.
we are
Well,
still about halfway in that season where I
yeah.
think there's a lot ahead.
Yeah. See, and the thing about the whole, you've got to have a coaching plan for year by year versus a 2 to 3 year plan to put your system into 2 or 3 year players is how many of these guys are we getting back next year? You know, like really, I feel like we're gonna lose half of them, and I'm talking about even half on the bench. I'm not just talking. I'm not just talking about just starters leaving. I'm talking we're gonna lose bench players too. Bench players will still hit the portal. They're
Hmm.
not going to stay here just because they were on the bench and that they were learning the system to start next year. They'll still hit the portal, and I just think that type of coaching of, oh, he needs 2 or 3 years, a coordinator at least. I get it to an extent. You got to recruit your guys and bring. There is that part of it is recruiting your guys in and getting your pieces. So I guess there's that. But T Will has been here 3 years. This is his third year. I think it's his third or second. I think it's his second actually. Um, it's two or three. I don't
Hmm.
remember, but yeah, you get it. He's either going to be going on to his third year by the end of this year or going on to his fourth. I think he's going to be going to his third. Um, Bobby, that's more of like, okay, go and get your guys in the transfer portal. Go get your guys recruiting after this year if we're going to roll with you. But T Will, it's like you cannot collapse the second half of the season because you've been here, you've been recruiting. And if you don't have your guys by now for the system that you run, like, dude, and here's the other thing is we've got to be above mid in the SEC. Like, we're giving D Will all this praise. We are not an elite defense. We're a good defense. I'd say we're slightly above average, but we're average in the SEC. Like that, we're not an elite defense, and we're treating some of these guys like that they are elite status. And I'm not trying to hate. I'm just saying that why are we praising mediocrity here? Why do we want to be the middle of the SEC? And to me, at least, maybe it's because I'm surrounded by Texas fans here in Austin. I asked some of my friends, Texas fans, LSU fans. Yeah, I'm surrounded by those guys, and a few other fan bases, Utah, Boise State, and I asked them, "Would you guys want Sam Pittman as your coach?" Guess how many people said yes? And
Well, you're saying, did you ask him after the LSU loss?
I've asked them throughout the season because I've been curious. Um,
Yeah, I
I asked
mean,
one person after the LSU loss, and they said hell no. Um, and this isn't to just pile on Sam Pittman. I'm putting this out there that if you go and ask people if they want Sam Pittman as their coach, and I guarantee you, even if he beats the Hogs beat Mississippi State this weekend, and maybe even if they beat Ole Miss, I doubt it that people from other fan bases are going to want Sam Pittman as their coach, and that says a lot. Why do we want to keep mid coaches here? And look at his SEC record, his overall SEC record. I'm having a hard time seeing it, especially after this letdown against LSU. The good news is for Sam and, anybody who is leaning Sam or wants to see him succeed. And it's not that I don't want him to see him succeed. I just don't. I see it unlikely because of the things that are happening. Oklahoma State falling apart against A&M at the end of the game. A crappy showing at home against UAB. A huge letdown last week against LSU. Let's give him his flowers for Tennessee. That was phenomenal. Not a lot of coaches can say they did that. That was great. It was great for the program. It was great for Sam. That was great. But there's got to be some consistency here. And if you beat Mississippi State, you need to beat Ole Miss too. And you need to compete against Texas and possibly win. And I just haven't seen that, that consistency, and these things are piling up. I kind of hit a lot of different takes there. But there's one last thing that I just want to put out there, and I'll let you kind of throw out a lot of the things that you have on your mind too, Sid. But the last thing is Sam Pittman's best year was year 2. And whose players did he have? Chad Morris. Chad Morris was a heck of a recruiter. Could not coach worth anything. But my God, I don't know how he got these players to Arkansas, but they all were the perfect fit for Sam Pittman's system when he came in. And since then, he has not seemed to be able to recruit at the same level as Chad Morris, in my opinion. His recruiting classes have not been as good as Chad's. And why was a guy like Chad Morris able to recruit better than the guy we currently have? Chad Morris.
Did we have NIL?
This was before
back then?
NIL.
Does that add to it?
It can, but honestly, we've gotten some big names in the transfer portal, like Drew Sanders. This was the NIL period, from a 5-star from Alabama. In keeping Landon Jackson here, who's a big name, could have been in the NFL draft or could have wanted to transfer to go and, get more film somewhere else and win a championship. To keep some of these guys here, to go and get Sorey, former 5-star from Georgia. Your NIL has to be at least competitive. I would say that
I just think it's an added, right?
I don't know. I think that Chad came here whenever it was in shambles too. The program was in shambles when Chad got here. I don't see that Chad had, or that Sam has had, any higher obstacles than Chad did. He came in at a terrible, and he was still recruiting well after an abysmal year 1. Their recruiting class after that, they still got some guys in, and I'm just putting this out here. I'm not trying to say Chad is better than Sam by any means. I'm just saying let's look at this objectively, and I'm not rooting for Sam to fail, but let's look at what he's built and what he's done outside of the Tennessee win. And again, I'll give him his flowers for that. There are some things that are some glaring red flags. His recruiting is one of them. Why is the offensive line not elite? For an offensive guru that we heard, that was the thing. I know elite is a high point, but we're not even average at offensive line. And I don't think he's been average at offensive line a single year he's been here. And he's been here 4 years. Why are we not recruiting at a very good level? Why don't we have guys in the right positions? It just doesn't seem like his recruiting plan is working with what we're trying to do on offense and defense. It seems like that we're limited at linebacker, the offensive line on offense. It seems like the quarterback is kind of not the right fit for the type of offense that we're running. It just seems, you know what I'm saying? The recruiting just seems off. And yes, you're right. The NIL thing it may have something to do with this, but I don't think our NIL is as poor as some people might act. I think it is
Right, and it's
competitive.
again, Bobby P. Taylor Green was Bobby P's guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that adds into it as well, not just on Pittman. I know,
Yeah.
like it feels like you're hammering on Pittman, which he, I mean, as a head coach, you take majority of those hits,
Yeah.
and as you should, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of different things that also go into it. I'm not
That's
saying,
true.
um,
It's
again,
not all black and white. There's gray areas here where, the numbers don't always.
you're looking for better than
Yeah.
mediocrity,
On paper
and
isn't
right,
always reality,
yeah.
and some of these things I'm showing are on paper. Um it, and people, have you seen the comments where people say, well, Sam Pittman didn't fumble the football or Sam Pittman didn't throw the interception? Look, guys, Nick Saban didn't win national championships at Alabama then. If we're just going to say that the coaches have nothing to do with how the players perform, then Nick Saban never won championships at Alabama. Urban Meyer never won championships at Ohio State and Florida. Nick Saban didn't win a championship at LSU. Like, it's this kind of stuff that coaches prepare players, and how you perform at the end of games is a reflection of coaching. Decisions you make at the end of games is a reflection of coaching. And what is our biggest complaint here as Razorback fans? The decisions made at the end of games that we feel like we should have won or had a good opportunity to win. And I'm just putting it out there for people to think. And if you are pro Sam Pittman, think to yourself and really ask yourself, how are you okay with what has been going on as of right now? And that could change. If he wins some more games, that changes. But as of right now, how are you okay with things if you want more than mediocrity? If you want to be a leader in the SEC, if you want to be one of the top 3, top 4 in the SEC, how are you okay with what has been going on so far? That's my biggest question. And Sid, you take it on from here. I've been I've been talking here for 20 minutes.
No, I mean, it to sum up your everything you're trying to say is just like you want better than mediocrity, and um, mediocrity is what we've been getting,
Mhm.
and and as fans, we just expect it more than mediocrity. I said that 3 times, but
Yeah,
that's exactly what we've
you're
seen
hammering
and
the
what we've
point.
got. That's exactly what we've seen, what we've got, and if we truly believe we are a football school, then we have to be better than that.
Mhm.
And um, and I think every fan, whether if you're a Pittman fan, whether you're not a Pittman fan, if you just look at that point,
Mhm.
you can answer that question to yourself, what you want from your head coach.
Yeah.
Whether you're a pro Sam Pittman fan, whether you're not a pro Sam Pittman fan, whether you're pro Bobby P, T Will, whoever, whichever coach you can think of in your mind, just answer that one question, and kind of that will help you lead to answering that whole point of view, which is
Yeah.
who should be the head coach,
Mhm.
and where should we be if we do want to be a football
Yeah.
school. And I think Arkansas does want to be a football school. Um, I mean, they've invested a lot of money in around this program,
Yeah.
around the field, around the parking lot. I mean, a lot of money is being poured into it. So
Mhm.
I feel like, yes, it is a football school.
Mhm.
Um,
And look at basketball. I know it's oranges and apples or whatever, but the way the money is funded is not. Um, Basketball. I remember Musselman was begging for 2.5 million of NIL. Couldn't get it. As soon as Coach Cal was on the table, our NIL, yeah, I think it's above 8 million now. It's high. It's really, really high. We are considered nationally like the leaders in NIL right now for college basketball. I know. I'm not gonna sit here and say just because we're the top leaders in NIL for basketball means we have to for football. No. What I'm saying is if there's a
And
will, there's
yeah,
a way to
and there's
get
this
money in funding.
true. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
there's a difference too a little bit in that we haven't played a single game yet under Coach Cal.
Yeah.
This is just like the preseason hype
Right.
versus
But if
Pittman's
you
is
bring belief here, the money will
right.
come.
And
The money
but
will
that's what I'm
come.
saying. So the
Coach
belief is
Cal
the
brought that.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Preseason hype is a belief
Mm-hmm.
with Pittman and is what
Right.
there's no preseason anything or
Mm-hmm.
this is year in year out. We've gotten multiple years of
Yep.
what he is and what he's shown us
Right.
as a coach. And so there is no. I mean, sure, if you win when we win games that are onesies, twosies,
Mm-hmm.
that are Tennessee games or that are those Texas games
Yeah.
that we won, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That
exactly.
hype
This
comes
could
in, but
change. Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
consistency. It's the
That's the
consistency
mm-hmm.
that comes in mind where
That's the
it's
biggest question mark.
people will forget about those 1-2 games when they look at the overall consistency being
Yep.
bad.
Yep. If you lose three straight or let's see, what are we at right now? Are we 4-3, right? Yeah, we're
Hmm.
4-3 right now. If we win two out of the next um how many more games do we have? It's late.
Yeah, we've got 5 games
It's
left.
late. Yeah, sorry. It's late
We've
right
got five
now.
games left, and I
It's
mean,
past
yeah,
10
you should
as we're
win at least
recording
two
this.
more.
Yeah. So if we go 2-5, you said there's 5 games left, right?
Right,
Yeah.
five
So
games left.
if we go 2-5, that's gonna be tough to get momentum from. That's gonna be tough to. Uh, I
Yeah,
I
it'd be
would
a
be
6-6
interested to
season.
see after the Tennessee game, the NIL numbers and donations went up. The slobbering hog logo got revealed after that. Um, it was great for the NIL fund. I'd be interested to see what the difference was in the NIL funds after the Tennessee game versus after the LSU game. And the key here to raising money is winning. Um, we have to win. I'm not saying we can't, but we have to. And we cannot be accepting 6 wins. We cannot be accepting 7 wins. 8, we'll see who they're against. Um, you know, it's not just a black and white number, situation of 8 wins you're good. It kind of does depends which
At this
games.
point, 7 isn't guaranteed though.
Yeah.
And so,
If you beat
is it
Texas
is
and
it a
you beat
huge
Ole
improvement?
Miss, if you beat Texas and Ole Miss or just one of the two, that's good. Finishing the win off with a win at Missouri, that could
Yeah.
cause momentum. And these are all things that could still happen. Like Pittman's career is not over right now. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying from what I've seen so far, I I would be cautious to say we win more than 6 games this year from what I've seen so far. And I hope that is not what happens. I do not want anybody to think I'm rooting for that to happen. It's just from what I've seen so far, I would be cautious saying that we're going to win more than 6 games.
I mean,
And
yeah, if you're okay with mediocrity as for this program, then you're
I'm
okay
not.
with
I'm
that,
not,
then
man.
right? I mean, I'm just saying
Yeah,
to ask
yeah.
it as a question. If you
Well, to
are okay with
everybody
that,
out there, I'm
um,
not. And
and there
um
might be some people that are because we could be
right.
worse. We could be like, yeah, we could have a lot
Mhm.
worse record. I mean, we've been through that from last season,
Yeah.
um, and it's possible, but it's just I don't think any of us want to be.
No. And that's the thing, man, is I'm not hoping for any losses. I'm not. It's just I think at some point, for me, it could just be because I'm surrounded by Texas fans here and LSU fans. They expect to win. There's no way in heck they would have let a 4-8 coach back on year 3 or 4, whichever one it was. It's late at night. I'm getting some of my numbers confused, but there's no way. And letting a 6-6 coach come back is also kind of, it says where you are as a football program. And to me, I think Arkansas has the resources to be a playoff contender. Does anybody believe, the people that want Sam Pittman back, do you believe he can get us to the college football playoff? I haven't seen anything that shows he can. And if you say no and you still want him, does that mean that your goal is not the college football playoff? As an Arkansas Razorback fan, do you not want to go to the college football playoff? I do. I want to be expecting to go to the college football playoff, or at least compete to get there. So what are your thoughts on all that, Sid?
Yeah, I mean, outside of the recency bias, because it's hard
It
again
is.
to go weekly and not think
I would
about
be
the LSU
acting a
game.
lot different on here if
If
there was
we
a different
had
result on Saturday.
exactly, and overall, yes, if I believe everyone to your question that you just asked, do you want to make playoffs? Is yes. I doubt anyone is like, no, I'm okay not
No,
making the
I'm
playoffs.
okay. No,
Um,
we don't have to do that.
so so to answer your question, yes, everyone can agree to that. Mediocrity, we're better than that, and I mean, I'm honestly, if we're not, then whatever. I think as a program,
Yeah,
it just like slowly starts dying off, and it is what it is. And we just focus it on something else. But
yeah.
as a fan, I don't want that to happen.
No. Mm-mm.
I want, because it's just like we're at the cusp. If we were terrible, I mean, if we were just garbage, had won like 0 games this season, or just like couple games, 0 SEC games, whatever,
Yeah,
I think we would be talking about it in a different point of view, where I don't even know if we'd have this podcast over talking about the Razorbacks
yeah.
football like week in, week out.
The
But it's
Tennessee
because,
game helped.
yeah, it's that week in, week out of
Yeah.
the roller coaster ride that we're on.
Hmm.
Um, we're
They're
talking about
capable.
this.
They are capable. Consistency, man. Consistency,
Hmm.
consistency, consistency. In tackling.
And tackling. Didn't see much of that.
Yeah. It's
Let's
an inside
see.
joke from some of our other episodes, so
That's just 5 games left. The rest of the season, and then I think
yeah. Let's
at the
go
end of
win
the
them.
season,
They're all
we
must wins.
they're all
They're
must
all must
wins.
wins. Let's win them all. Let's win them
Start
all.
starting with this Saturday.
Yep, starting with this Saturday. Let's go win a game we're supposed to win.
And
Win a game.
for Pittman, he's got 5 games left.
Yeah.
I would think about it like that. I wouldn't think about, oh, I just like LSU. Everyone's going to be thinking about that. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously he's probably not, but 5 games left. What do you do with these 5 games? What do you do with
You
this
win them.
opportunity? Yeah, I hope so. Right.
Yeah.
And we shall see what he does
Yeah.
for um these 5 games. Whether it's just, again, as if it was like last week where there was just not coaching mistakes, we just like lack of preparation completely as a whole, the whole team fell apart, or if it's just simple coaching mistakes which we have to repeat. And it was on Pittman, like, you shouldn't have done this.
Mhm.
This was that we lost this game because of only you and only you.
Yeah.
um 5 games to prove that that's not the case, and 5 games to prove that you're better than the inconsistency that you've shown.
Mhm.
I'll end it
So,
with that.
well, we'll see what happens. Um I'm rooting like crazy for them to win and turn it around. Um, I'm just skeptical, and that doesn't mean that I'm rooting for them to lose. It's just I'm afraid to get too attached to this, because we talked about this a little bit in the LSU recap, or it may have been the Mississippi State preview. But I really was all in on them competing and having a shot against LSU over the weekend. And I just felt like the whole fan base was really let down from that. And it was back to feeling like the Oklahoma State loss, where it was the feeling of we've seen this before. And
You know what
it's
we
not
haven't
a
seen
feeling.
before,
Mm.
and this will help Pittman's case. We go 9-3. We haven't seen that.
Yep.
Win the next 5
And that
games,
is possible. That is
and
100% possible. It is possible. It's not
it's an
likely, but
option.
it is possible.
It
It's a scenario.
yeah, 50-50. It does happen or it doesn't happen. Well, actually, it's more less than 50-50.
Yeah, I wouldn't say 50-50,
I wouldn't say
but
50-50.
but
But
that's what makes it even more awesome is
why
if it
not us?
happens.
If it
Why
happens,
not us?
Ross will eat his words, and
Hey man, there will
and
be nobody more happy than me. I give the flowers whenever I'm wrong or if I, was hard on somebody for something. There've been times games that I've previewed been hard on Travis Williams and gave him his flowers for good game preparation. Um so I will definitely, you know, if we do a good performance on Mississippi State, we're going to lead this thing by saying that, hey, Sam Pittman is doing he's back on the right direction. Let's continue this. What happens
mhm.
in this scenario with Ole Miss? What happens in this scenario in Texas? Week by week, let's kind of keep talking. All right, where are we at right now? And what is it kind of what are we being shown could happen next? Like, what is the path looking like right now in the possible scenarios? But
For
yeah,
sure. Let's
you ready to wrap
yeah,
this thing up?
wraps it up.
All
It's
right.
late.
Well, yeah, it is late. We got one more recording to do too. We guys, if you guys are excited about basketball, man, we're making another video right after this about basketball. And the expectations, the excitement that we have for Coach Cal and company. So please check out that after this video. But please like this video. Comment down below. I know I was a little harsh on the Hogs and Sam especially. Um, I'm not rooting against him. I love my Razorbacks. Sid loves our Razorbacks. We are diehard fans. We will be here every single week to talk about the Razorbacks. We will be watching closely with everything that goes on. I spend most of my day listening to stuff about Arkansas, and Sid does too. So we love our Razorbacks. Please like, comment down below, subscribe to this channel if you're a diehard Razorback fan too, because we want to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts, and we're excited to see what happens. And with that being said, that Heartbreak Hog podcast is out. And we're trying to change the narrative here. I'm going to put that out there too. That Heartbreak Hogs podcast is not about breaking our own hearts, okay? We're trying to change the narrative and break the other team's hearts, all right? Just putting that out there. We'll see you guys in the next video.
See y'all.